Coffee. This show is brought to you by Ninja Alerts. As some of you know, ninjas are currently filling up your timeline. We just did our top 300. We have our Ordinals tracker already, our portfolio tracker, and we're having a Ninjas party on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. On this show, you can expect the latest news and innovations happening on Bitcoin Ordinals mixed in with a little bit of banter. Today's topics are, we're going to be talking about Dogfather, who is one of our special guests today, some of the analytics that he dropped, and specifically, as you see in the title, talking about the Bitcoin halving, what that could affect, how that could possibly affect the price. Elizabeth Olsen has some things to share with us for, I'm sorry, is Signa or Sina? We were saying two different things beforehand. It's one of those things until you say it out loud. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but we're going to go over a multi-sig process on the show later today and a couple of other topics to talk about. So with all that, I'm going to pass it over to you guys for our first section that we always do. What's up, everybody? How's it going?
Hey. So thanks for having me. First time here. Pretty looking forward to that. I will talk a bit about my new branding using the Ninja PFP. And some analytics I was cooking up in these days.
Yeah. What you got, man? So I read your piece, and I can actually just share it on screen real quick about the Bitcoin halving, and also, I mean, shout out to Dogfather is using his Ninja PFP already for the branding of the analytics. And again, this is more than a presentation. Feel free to input any point that you guys want on the panel. And also, if you're tuning in to Twitter or YouTube, on Twitter, we'll see some of the comments. On YouTube, we can filter all of them. Be sure to give this a share, interact with it in any way. We'd appreciate it. So I'm pulling that up right now, Dogfather, if you just want to talk about it.
Yeah, sure. So thanks for that. So I'm basically a data nerd and data analyst, IRL. So I'm having a lot of fun digging into some blockchain data. And I mean, everyone is now talking about Bitcoin price, and the halving is definitely a thing. So I was really looking into some, very basic data and some ordinals data. And we all know that after the halving, the miners, like Charlie and the like, will just have half of the revenue. And that means that we have less supply hitting the market. And just looking at the first halvings we had, so if you can stop here, and this is showing you the first, second, and third halving, and just the year before the halving event and the year after the halving event. So pre is the 360 days before, and post is the 360 days after. And I mean, we all know that this is extremely bullish period, but I was surprised when I had a look at the data that even in the last halving, 2020, we had a 540% in the year after the halving. So and a bit of a anticipation effect, but definitely after the halving is when most of the action is happening. And that's not like in the first 30 days or 60 days after the halving. That's really spread out over the whole year. And that's the first piece. I think most people are aware of that. But of course, it can be the other way around. I mean, I'm like a finance person, and I would typically say that in an efficient market, everyone knows that and is already pricing that in. And also, you could say that we have more mature and experienced market participants than previously, so more institutions, that it's more priced in. And the next data point I was looking at is looking at really how many Bitcoins the miners were, creating every day over the total trading volume. And there we see a huge change from the second and third halving. So I was not even able to dig out volume data for the first halving. It's just very hard to get reliable volume data. So just have that for the second and third halving. And you see that we have an extreme drop in the relevance of how many Bitcoin the miners were creating. And this is like after the third halving, just 0.05%, so basically zero. So in a nutshell, that means that the new Bitcoin that are created have a very negligible effect compared to the total volume. So you could easily argue that, I don't know, the whole supply thing is more like a mental framework and not so much a material supply framework. So all these stock to flow and whatnot, I mean, this is more like creating momentum and awareness in my point of view. So it's important to have that piece of information in the back of our mind. And you could even say that maybe the halving even could have a negative effect that I think Charlie could speak a day about that. That if the revenue is cut in half, some inefficient miners may drop, and that the hash rate goes down, and market participants are concerned about the security budget, maybe creating some price decrease even. And now comes the ordinal inscription in place. So together with Genie Data and Odd Data, my partner in crime, we were trying to establish, and you can stay here, please. We tried to establish a ratio that's called ordinals halving coverage, and that basically means over a whole month, how much of ordinal transactions and inscription fees could cover the cut in the miner subsidy. So the 3.125 BTC that you don't have like per block. And we see that in the crazy month of May, this was like 11% of the cut, while over the whole period, we just talk about 2 point something percent. So yes, ordinals help a bit in helping the miners to make some money, but we are definitely not able to compensate anywhere close to the 3 point something BTC that are missing. But still, it will be it is some component, and on top we have all the rare sats and everything. The miners are now stacking, but still it's important to take that into account. So now we have three views: a bullish view, a neutral view, and a possible negative view. And to me, if I take all the numbers together, the key takeaway is that even though it's really hard, I mean, as a econometrician myself, typically we would ask for like 30 or 50 cases to draw any kind of robust conclusions. But I think the positive perspective is the most promising and a remarkable one. So I would rather expect that we see some bull after the halving, like in the first three events, and that we don't have any kind of major concerns about the security budget. The miners are buying the more efficient equipment and everything. So I think they're well equipped for the drop, as they always are. And anticipation, yes. I mean, there should be anticipation, but we have seen in the last three events that the most of the action happened after the halving. So that's the first chart. And I think this time probably will be the same. Maybe not at the same magnitude because we're just at different levels. So it's easier to gain a lot if the price is lower. But so I was feeling more bullish after doing this analysis than before. And everyone should now make their own research and think about that. But it's good to have hard numbers to look at, and not just some gut feeling and FOMO and everything. So I recommend everyone reading that, digesting it a bit, all the numbers, and I'm happy to take feedback. Maybe I missed, maybe something is incomplete. Yeah, just share your thoughts. Really looking forward to the feedback. And I plan to do that, I hope, on a weekly level, that I have one longer research piece that I'm sharing with my audience and also with the Ninja community. Yeah, that's like the plan. It will always be free. I'm not charging anything for that. So I'm doing that for fun, for research purposes. I have a team of 4 people helping me a bit here and there, working on various avenues, not just ordinals, but also like ETH NFTs and fungible tokens. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that, and yeah, looking forward to how the Ninja community is. I mean, it was already pretty amazing. I mean, everyone was really helpful, posting, sharing, commenting. So thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, I just shared it maybe like 2 hours ago when I first read it, and I was like, wow, this is really, really good. But yeah, you asked for feedback. what a better time than some good old Ordinals banter on feedback. Does the panel have any feedback on that breakdown of the Bitcoin halving in 2024?
Definitely Charlie. Come on, man. That's your whole. Charlie,
let's go. Dogfather has been great as far as like Ordinals insights, and I love that we're using new analytics tools to bring different insights to Bitcoin. I could probably talk forever with him about some of the nuances where I agree and where I disagree with this analysis. But I think the main thing that I think is very interesting is the new metric you're trying to figure out like how to describe this, which is what you call the Ordinals halving coverage, which is I use the term block space becoming more valuable. And yeah, it's like, how do we model what the current Ordinals activity today would look like in a post-halving landscape, and what like would it materially drive fees on Bitcoin? I think this is one of the most interesting subjects. We're doing our own research on this at Luxor, but you have identified kind of where the most interesting conversation is. And I think at first glance, like your evaluation of like how to go about trying to model what like Ordinals would do as far as fee revenue to miners post-halving, that seems in the right direction. I think it's very interesting. With regards to your comments on stock to flow, I don't know. He blocked me a few years ago, and then I actually on the specific idea that miner sell pressure changes after a Bitcoin halving. I actually refuted this specific idea on a podcast I was on last week, of the mining pod. It's a common one, actually. Michael Saylor himself suggested that this was the case. But if you look at sell pressure from miners as percentage of overall sell pressure and selling volume per day, it's anywhere from 5 to 1% of the overall selling volume, just on any given day, and even if you average out over a month. So, and miners actually have more locked-in fixed costs. So the fixed cost is actually more related to the like operating costs and like selling volume of miners. So I actually push back against that. But those are just my two main takeaways. One is a very good validation on your attention and focus on the ordinals as block space and what that looks like in a halving scenario. And the other one is pushing back against the kind of miner outflow modeling. So I think this is fascinating. We can talk all about this. I'll yield to someone else.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Charlie. I think it similar to how I view it, and Dogfather, good stuff. And I think more analytics are super healthy for the space. Sorry, and people can read into it as much as they like. Obviously, always go back to first principles of kind of only put in what you can afford. You need to be able to pay the bills in real life and whatnot. But more analytics, more tooling is great. I think, following Dogfather, following Charlie, I don't know if you follow Checkmatey, who works for Glassnode. There's some brilliant analysis there. There's another guy called Dave the Wave, who's actually based out of New Zealand, he's a great follow. I love listening to him as well.
He's been doing the wave theory for years.
He has.
OG as they come, yeah.
He is, isn't he? And do you know what I love about him? Everyone calls him a bear, but I just think that he's realistic. And he was always against Plan B's stock to flow model. And I think that out of those two, Dave the Wave kind of won that battle, if you like. So, more tooling and more analysis is great. And just, I think, follow those sorts of people, follow Dogfather and make those decisions. And I think then switching across to block space, the block space thing, we're seeing it now. It's playing out now. Block space is expensive. And I think Bitcoin is really big through ordinals starting to do perhaps what it was really designed to do, and to be scarce and I don't want to say expensive, but to be scarce. So if you want to put something on it or you want to transact, we're seeing it play out now. And Charlie, you work with and for a mining company. I think that seeing block space become more scarce and become more in demand, and I guess fee revenue going up, that's super healthy for Bitcoin. And I think that really counters all of the kind of, I guess, what's it called? What I was saying, like the security. Well, I can't remember the exact phrasing. Like but essentially, like this is, I don't want to say the cure, but it's seeing what perhaps people had predicted play out a lot quicker than perhaps it was even thought to. So yeah, I think that Bitcoin is behaving how it was designed to behave, and it's really, I think Ordinals has really advanced that, which is really cool.
Yeah,
I have a question.
Thanks a lot.
So sorry, Dog Father, go ahead.
Just before I forget it, because it's already a bit late and I had a long day. So thanks, Charlie, for the feedback. I mean, what we pitch with this OHC or Ordinals halving coverage, one part I was not mentioning is the key importance of BRC20s that account for around 70% or so of the fees. So I know we all like to trash BRC20 because it's not real art, and in case you don't like them and whatnot. But I mean, for the security budget, they make the vast majority of the fees, and that's something we should not forget. That
was the phrasing. I was like, what was it again? Security budget. Thank you. Spot on.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we show in our dashboards that are linked below the tweet. So with my part of art data, we drilled down, and Charlie, you always say that we need to distinguish, the tax stuff from all the other inscriptions, because it's like ERC20 or ERC721. These are two completely different markets. And of course, we now celebrate that we have so much volume on Bitcoin, but it's not NFTs. I mean, we all know that. I mean, this is like ERC20 fungible token stuff, and we do as if they're NFTs. And they make up like 90% of the volume right now. So I think we need to distinguish those and really always show, okay, what's the fungible part, what's the non-fungible part. And we do this in these dashboards, and it's like 70% or so of the fee revenue right now. And sorry, Ritas, I was jumping into your comment.
Oh yeah, I think if I could, I'm certain you have a bunch of other ideas you want to do analysis on, Dogfather. But on that specific topic of BRC20s versus other types of inscriptions, I think you'll find a lot if you look into that data. I would look into specifically the different types of fee rates these pay, because we see BRC20 transactions be highly inelastic demand, therefore price is very responsive, whereas inscriptions that are more akin to JPEGs or art is very elastic demand for that block space. I think if you distinguish between that and you kind of separate and you do separate analysis on these types of transactions, you can reveal a lot. So it's very interesting. I'm looking forward to your next thread and more research.
Awesome. Yeah. So okay, my question, and I'm not a technical person whatsoever, so if this is a dumb question, I'm sure somebody else has.
Hey, Witters, do you know these questions are actually the best, because the more you know, the less kind of questions that you ask that actually cater to more of the people who want to know. So these questions are perfect, because if you know more, you don't ask the stuff that everyone's wondering. So please, there is no such thing as a dumb question. Yeah.
Okay, thank God. Shoot. Okay, so like the interest in ordinals and like BRC20 since like what, January? Has that affected the halving? That's a hard word for me to say. The halving in any way? Is that something that has, like with more interest, or, whatever we've been doing for the past, 10 months? Has that affected the halving at all?
So technically, on average, the Bitcoin protocol is, having blocks every 10 minutes. So even if you have 0 transactions, then or very few transactions, then it should average around 10 minutes. So it's not affecting it. I guess from the price side, we see some strength in Bitcoin versus Ethereum. So I think maybe we see some more run up this time, that we see a stronger recovery in Bitcoin compared to Ethereum. Now you never know, is that now the ETF effect or is it the ordinal effect? So it's very hard to disentangle the two. So there may be a price effect, that all the hype and awareness that Bitcoin is cool again is driving up the price and showing some strength. But in terms of the timing, it should be this April, whatever we do on Bitcoin. I hope I'm not wrong, because I'm also not a very technical person.
I think you're right, Dogfather. I think that's a good characterization of it. So a lot of people ask miners like, "What are you doing for the halving?" And there's usually not a very good answer. Just like, "Well, we're going to try to stay alive." But now, with there being a new dynamic in Bitcoin's fees, in Bitcoin's fee market, there are now interesting financial instruments that you can take advantage of to hedge your production across various capacities. But I'll actually respond to your question, Witters, a little bit of an unexpected way. Has it affected the halving? And I would say you could argue that it has. And this is an interesting perspective. So the more people who are mining Bitcoin, the more hash rate comes online, the more hash rate there is. And that 10-minute block time that Dogfather mentioned, that is a target. The Bitcoin network targets 10 minutes, but in reality, it's actually more on average like 9 minutes, 50-something seconds. That's because each year there's more people mining Bitcoin, so blocks are coming in faster than the target block time. And so what happens is, if there's more fees on Bitcoin, that means more people are able to stay alive and more hash rate comes online. So that actually means that on average, over the past year, we probably had more hash rate come online than expected had ordinals ever happened. That means the actual date of the halving, which is set on a number of blocks, those blocks are coming in faster than normal. So you could argue that ordinals is causing the halving to come maybe a few days or even a week sooner than originally targeted. So you could say that it does have an effect on the actual date the halving will land on. And I think it's targeted towards like late March or early April right now. So that's an interesting perspective.
I knew it. No, just kidding. No,
Hey, oh, sorry, Witters. No, you go.
no, you're fine. I was just kidding around. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's more, I know we're chatting with Dogfather. It's kind of probably more a question for Charlie, given what he does, but Dogfather, you can probably chime in. I've listened to a few podcasts and, with different mining companies or organizations speaking, and the question they always get asked, or typically get asked, is, obviously when the halvening, are we calling it the halvening? Halving is the correct word. Halving,
whatever you want to say.
Whenever I say halvening, I'm like, oh, my brain doesn't like it. So the Bitcoin halving, we'll be down to, what are we down to? What will the reward be next? How many Bitcoin?
3.125.
3.125, right. And so fee rates become even more important, right? Depending on whether or not, obviously, the bet is, or the speculation is, that 3.125 Bitcoin becomes worth enough or worth more to reward the Bitcoin, the companies who are mining Bitcoin. But obviously fee rates and that rev makes a huge difference then, depending on what happens with the price of Bitcoin. Of course, companies who are mining Bitcoin they're companies, so they need to be earning money, so they'd be perhaps selling some, but obviously I'd assume keeping some as well. Where does the thought process come in with viability? When is it mainly through fees, or is it speculating that the price of Bitcoin goes up, so 3.125 is worth enough to be sustainable business models? There's a lot in that question, sorry.
Yeah, definitely more towards Charlie. I mean,
yeah,
at the end, hoping that price goes up is I mean, definitely not a very sound business, strategy, because you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, there can be some blow up. I mean, let's make Binance go down tomorrow. I mean, the price will be below to 10,000. So betting on something and hoping, that shouldn't be the thing. But I mean, if you just look at today's blocks where we had like fees of 1 Bitcoin a block, I mean, this is definitely a scenario, a high fee scenario. You can, if the bull market is there and if the ordinals progress as now, then you have definitely more fees than before. And whether that's now half a Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin, or in an extreme case like 5 Bitcoin, that you just have a distribution around that. I mean, you just look at, I think, Charlie, that's what you guys are doing. You just take the distribution of these fees, and then you have some medium, you have some outliers, and so on. And that's something you take into account and think whether for different Bitcoin price scenarios you can survive. The problem is only that typically when Bitcoin price is high, the fees are high, and once Bitcoin goes down, then the market dries up. So you have just the wrong correlation, you know. So in the worst case, you have a crash and nobody is doing anything on Bitcoin. There's no BRC20 degens, nobody's inscribing anything, and everything is kind of cold. That's the problem.
That's why this past year was so remarkable, because we saw what looked like bull market fees in a bear market. That's why this past year has been so unbelievably remarkable. Dr. You mentioned, I think somewhere you said, after the halving, miners' revenues are cut in half almost overnight. That's pretty much true. And so then we would expect, if some miners can't stay alive, they go out of business and they turn their Bitcoin mines off. So that means that everyone's the people who survive, their share of the Bitcoin goes up. So theoretically, there you could see a decline in hash rate after the halving. I currently think that's probably going to happen a little bit, but again, we think probabilistically. It is very interesting to look at this, because another mechanic is that of the block reward, you have the block subsidy, which is the new Bitcoin creator right now 6.25, and then after having 3.125, and then you have the block, the fees in the block, and right now fees per block are anywhere from 2% to 10% of the block reward paid to miners. But when we cut the issuance of Bitcoin in half, the fees as percentage of the payment to miners go up by that exact same amount. So we could actually see miner revenue transition in the next few years to being primarily fee revenue, which would be historic. And that's something that has been like the holy grail and the conversation for mining forever. And it's like, when are we going to transition to a fee revenue model? And nobody's had a really good answer. A lot of the hardcore Bitcoiners are like, oh, it'll happen. We'll open billions of Lightning channels. I'm like, that'd be great. Nobody's doing that. So we see in real time. I think I can be both critical of BRC20s as a sustainable standard, but then also endorsing of the fact that they are paying real money for block space, which is very important. So it's such a fun time to be an analyst, especially if you're an Ordinals analyst. I think that all Ordinals analysts are going to become mining analysts before you know it, because they're so interlinked.
I got two things. One, Witters, somebody on Twitter said you look beautiful on the Twitter.
Did I get a compliment? Just Witters?
No, you didn't. I was thinking of a witty comeback, and I was like, man, I don't want to be too mean on live. So
we're getting seriously outshone by Witters and Elizabeth. But what can you do?
What the heck? Two. So when I was looking at the data that Dogfather presented, and I'm not technical either, I didn't realize how dramatically the halving had an effect after it. You know, I thought it was more of like people front ran it, and then the halving itself kind of like, you know, around that same time. But to think that a majority of the action came afterwards, it makes sense now. But I never like looked at that data before. I never really had a reason to look at that data before. So you think in years past, part of that reason is because it just stopped being as profitable for miners. Like they got to the halving and they're like, well, it's not as profitable anymore, so we're out. You know, like is that the and then that kind of goes on to, you know, what we're saying with miners with the sell pressure and having to keep up their sustainable business models by like, you know, mining and then selling. Is that like part of the equation?
I used to think so. I don't really think it does anymore. I think it's more just a psychological thing. But you know, you ask 10 different people, you get 10 different answers.
So it's a cyclical thing. It's a cycle. I feel like every other Bitcoiner I meet is like an astrologist. Like they rely on like these
economics is just astrology for men.
We're gonna Erin would love that as well, wouldn't she?
It's her line. I got it from her. Yeah.
What'd you say? I missed it.
I just said economics is astrology for men.
Oh, gosh.
Shout out the Aquarian Conspiracy Conference. So,
Dogfather, were you saying something?
I mean, one really important caveat is, I mean, I really love those numbers, and I did them, so I kind of believe them. But I mean, it's like 3 observations, really. I mean, and then in the last halving, we had the COVID pandemic, driving down the prices, and then a huge bull run. So we have to be careful. I mean, this is not written in stone. I mean, of course, if you were asking me what is the most realistic price target for 1 year after the halving, I would say an all-time high is definitely possible, or 100K or so. But as someone who's working with statistics and stuff like that, I mean, the price range is everything between 10K and 100K, right? So, and you have some median at, I don't know, 60K, but everything can happen, don't rely on that. It's just really just looking backwards. The future is different. If the SEC is doing kind of like crazy things, no ETF, and some more bankruptcies for whatever reason, because some people gamble a bit too much, hey, we are back at 20. That's for sure. So the fundamentals make the thing. And Charlie's completely right. It's more like now psychological thing. Like the supply cut is really, it's not like in the first halving where you're going from 50 to 25 BTC. That was like a lot. I don't have the volume numbers, but the earliest volume numbers I have, that was like almost 10% of the total trading volume a day was, that was like the mining. Now we are like below 0.05%. I mean, this is basically nothing. So yeah, we need always to have that in the back of our mind. But I mean, we now have a very good momentum with ordinals. We have a lot of, I think the fundamentals are way more important, and the cultural change. And that may really drive the next bull run, not because we have a bit more of supply.
Okay.
A bit less of supply, yeah.
Sorry, Doug. So I have a hot take, right? We have seen the NFT volume like based on chain, right? So, and for weeks now, it's been Bitcoin leading that. But that, I just don't feel like that's an accurate representation of like the digital artifacts that are actually being traded, because it's BRC20 volume that is contributing to that, and it gets lumped into that, I guess, that volume in total. It's still really cool that it's zero wash trading, right? But what do y'all feel about that circulating the timeline?
I mean, if I'm completely like honest, I would separate those numbers into fungible and non-fungible stuff. And I would say it's Bitcoin. But if I talk about an NFT ranking, and it is an NFT ranking, I mean, CryptoSlam, that's, it should be an NFT ranking. The fungible tokens should not be included. We don't have ERC20s. We don't have Shiba Inu in the ERC, in the Ethereum stuff. So it's pretty unfair and doesn't make too much sense. I mean, from a marketing perspective, I would not, paying the CryptoSlam guys and tell them, look, kick out the BRC20s. But to be very honest, if I were doing such an analysis, I would split it up. And then we are like at 5 to 10% of the Bitcoin volume that we see. Because it's very simple.
We actually had CryptoSlam on last week on this podcast, on the Bitcoin Ordinals Banter. It was really good. To the defense for that, okay, would be that it's only on-chain volume. So like the insane volume you see with BRC20s is, let's say like Ordi got listed on, what was it, Binance last week, did like insane volume. None of that was detected. It's not like that counted, most of the SHIB stuff that would be on like exchanges wouldn't count. So the volume was a little bit more true to it. And the second is, now this is much smaller. It's just kind of a little like jab, would be like you can wrap, like you can, like there's wrapped OXBT that trades on Blur, which would count as NFT volume as well. Now that might be insignificant, but I mean, it definitely could be included. I think who was it? It was somebody from, I forgot his name, something Fu from Magic Eden, broke it down to where essentially last week, if you took off all the fungible versus non-fungible and just did the ordinals, Ordinals still got the number 2 slot for a couple of days. Number 3, was it just behind Solana? Or
It was actually, I think so. Either
Okay.
2 or 3, whatever.
I
It's
thought it got 2.
still up there.
think it
Okay, yeah.
passed, I think it passed Solana on a couple of days. It never did pass ETH. So all that to say, like, yeah, BRC20s make up a lot of the volume, and it probably should be separated. But it's not as simple as like, oh, you take away BRC20, then it's like nothing. It's like not even, in the top 10. It's like, no, it's actually still doing substantially well.
I think these are both good takes. I think we should. I personally strongly think we should separate the volume. But I'll also say this: like, it's just a matter of time until Bitcoin does capture #1 spot across any metric or way you measure it. Just the numbers, the incentive, and the momentum behind this is just too great. And also consider that it's number 2 or 3 in NFT on-chain NFT volume on a blockchain that 300 days ago, consensus, even a lot of the most visionary Bitcoiner and altcoiners, 300 days ago was consensus that you could not put NFTs on Bitcoin. And now it is already
That's
either first, second, or third. Like,
that's the key point. So
Yeah.
who like, and I was going to add to that. I think you nailed it there, Charlie. I was going to add to that, like, despite what anyone thinks, 1, 2, 3, 4. What Charlie just said, that is the nail on the head. And regardless, it's great for it's good. It's, essentially it's just good marketing. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's tweeting about it. If you put a different lens, if you look at it through a different lens, regardless of if you think it should be separated or this or that, like, it gets people talking about it, and that what makes the sort of like crypto Twitter to go around. And so I think that I think in that regard, it's super healthy. And then it's great that people have their views, and then it just shows that there are just different market participants using what is, has been built through ordinal theory for different reasons, and the market decides, and that's a good thing. So it's like, we don't need to go into it. There's people who will be trading bitmaps. There's people who will be trading BRC20s. There's people just doing art. There's people doing PFPs. There's people doing a blend of all of them. So it is very hard to separate it out when there be different market participants across the spectrum. But, the best thing, I think what Charlie said, is it's just super healthy.
Yeah, just to hop on that marketing thought too. I mean, one could almost argue that it's thanks to a marketing narrative in the first place that ordinals were so successful. It was around this tension between the Bitcoin maxis absolutely freaking out that we were putting this data on chain, and because of that, we were making headlines in the media, and then more people were discovering inscriptions and how to do this, and how easy it was to put data on Bitcoin, and that's how things really started to blow up, is because the word got, was circulating, and people got excited about it, and here we are now. But I think, what better marketing than this? Obviously, I agree too. It's like we really should separate it out. And I'm kind of curious, actually, Chris, if we could break that down a little bit more. I didn't quite understand how BRC20 isn't taking up the majority of of the volume there. But yeah, I think this is such a great win for us in the meantime to really to keep honing those headlines and spreading the word about ordinals, and people are discovering them and seeing, really shaping that narrative around seeing Bitcoin as a place to have NFTs.
Yeah, I wish I had Johan back on, because he'd be able to do 100% better than me. But on so one of the highest, what was it last week? Ordi got listed on Binance, and that was only the 6th meme coin, whatever they considered it to be, listed on Binance. And I forgot the volume, and I don't want to say just like a stupid number. I want, come into my head, I don't even want to say anything. Regardless, none of that insane volume on Binance counted towards the Crypto Slam stats, because it wasn't all on chain. So it wasn't, it's through like Binance's exchange that they would trade the tokens, kind of like, I guess you would do. Right. Yeah. So that's all I was saying, was that the large volume that you see from let's say Binance or whatever other exchanges isn't detected by Crypto Slam. It's not factored in, or else you would see significantly higher numbers. Again, 600 million keeps popping in my head. That sounds like way too much, obviously, but like
it was like 500 million at some point.
okay,
I think
so
they may have like
maybe it is.
readjusted it to.
Okay.
It's like but I know it's at least 100 million.
Yeah,
Regardless,
okay,
those
so
are such big
maybe it was
numbers
600
that
million, but like whereas CryptoSlam, the total ordinal volume for that day was like 16 million. So like obviously like none of that counted towards the chart that people are referring to, that the whole debate is over, whether it should count or not. So it's just,
I do like Elizabeth's take though, that it's like the hardcore maxis Barbara Streisand affected, like the whole inscriptions into the consciousness of everybody, just by like yelling so hard against it, they magnified it into such prominent view that everyone's like, oh, you could do NFTs on Bitcoin, cool. So
isn't it funny? Isn't it funny how that happens? It's so funny how that happens. If you hate on something, it's actually good marketing. Like it's yeah.
That's why she's head of growth at Xverse.
100%.
Yeah, that's what she does. Her next campaign is getting everyone to hate on Xverse, and that's going to exponentially grow. No, I'm sure that's. I don't think Ken wants that to happen.
I want to go back to WAGME. That's the thing I missed last cycle. We're all going to make it. We're all going to.
So Charlie, maybe your band can come up with the next, like, I Don't Want Your Crypto Boy song.
Wait, Charlie has a band?
Wait, should I have not said that?
Dang,
yeah, I don't know where you want this conversation to go, but yeah.
Wait, I just made that up. Sorry, he's not in a band.
No, I've got the link in my bio, actually.
Yeah. It's right there. I was kidding.
I'm actually headed to the studio after this, so yeah.
Dope. Well, can I just use that as a really nice segue?
Yeah.
Are we doing what's up, or are we continuing on about?
So Eli, you definitely say what you're about to say. I do want Elizabeth to show us the presentation of Asigna, the multi-sig.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We do. I will be very quick. So yesterday, I was just super proud of it, so I wanted to say it, and we were joking about music. It's obviously difficult or expensive, or there's different ways to get music onto Bitcoin as an inscription. And yesterday, my team on the side of Gamma, we built the Audi Gallery, and we actually shipped a feature whereby if you own music or MP4 ordinals or inscriptions, you can get them to work inside your Audi Gallery. So that was super cool. So I know for like Violetta, who inscribed the first full-length song on Bitcoin, and for other people, I know that there are people who have been playing with MP4. Obviously, like they're quite short files, or they can get them to loop through recursion and whatnot. That was super cool. So just like building and talking about music, it is really cool to be able to see that sort of stuff come to life, and then people to be able to, if they have a gallery through owning one of our ordinals, then they can play them now. So yeah, we were just super proud of that, and I'd love to see Charlie try and get some music onto Bitcoin. Maybe a short track today from the studio. Who knows?
Hey, this band was one of the first to issue an NFT back, I think, top of, I think actually December of 2020. So, yeah. But that was back in the day.
Did you say Violetta is the one that inscribed?
Yeah. Violetta inscribed her first full-length track.
Okay, I've listened to her a long time ago.
She's brilliant.
She used to just like jam on Twitter Spaces, and I was like, man, this feels really good. And I'll just go like listen to her. I didn't realize she was even. I mean, I knew she was around, I didn't realize she was doing like ordinals type stuff.
She's arguably So she inscribed the first full song, and then on ETH, which I know the space isn't about, but she's probably the biggest, if not one of the biggest, like Web3 fully independent indie musicians in the space. So if you don't follow Violetta, and this is for everyone listening, her Twitter handle is @Zironi Violetta, or she's Italian, so it's Zironi Violetta, but Zironi Violetta. She's well worth a follow. She's amazing. I just wanted to like give her some flowers there.
Maybe that's why I liked her music, because she's Italian. I'm also Italian.
Hey, see, but she's brilliant, and yeah, I can't wait. She's holding on to that ordinal. It's on an uncommon as well, and yeah, who knows? I like. She's eventually gonna sell it. I think she's just kind of waiting. There's no rush. That's the beauty. So yeah, it'll be exciting when she does decide to consider it. Particularly given it is quite historical now, and it's good because it's her. It's not just historical, but it's also quality because it's Violetta's.
That's important too. That's important too. Elizabeth, you got the. Do you want to share your screen, or do you just want to talk about it?
I can try to share my screen.
Okay.
Let's see. Might be some technical issues, but but yeah, in the meantime, I was going to say, Violetta, I haven't heard her sing yet, but I'm excited because I did hear that she will be performing at Art Basel for the Ordinals conference, the Nolcha show.
I'm so jealous. That's awesome.
Yeah, she will.
Cool.
7 o'clock at the Sagamore Hotel. So if you're there, you get a ticket, you get the pleasure of hearing Violetta sing live, which I'm very excited about. Good call, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I saw that there is going to be, what was it? They're going to have some like more things besides just speakers. So I guess that was one of them is the music.
I love you. I'm just on this call.
I know, I'm listening. Oh, hey guys, by the way, can you see my screen now?
Yes, now we can.
Ooh, amazing.
Hopefully you wanted us to.
Cool. Yeah, this is it. Great. It's not showing all my other tabs and things, so that's nice.
There it is.
All right. So this is a quick little demo of a Signa that I just tried out the other day. And I'm not sure if it's a Signa or a Signa. They'll have to correct me, but my best guess would be that it's a Signa since it's like signatures.
Multi-sig. Yeah, let's go with a Signa. If I was them, I'd pronounce it a Signa. It sounds better. But however,
you do also sign. You do also sign, though. You know.
Phonetic.
Well, stop it, Chris. A Signa. Anyway, go on, Elizabeth. Sorry.
Anyway, well, what's cool about a Signa is that it allows us to have basically a multi-sig for Bitcoin, and not just Bitcoin coins, but Bitcoin assets like BRC20, Ordinals, and not only is it just for multiple owners, but you can also do it, I believe, for multiple devices. So basically splitting your trust amidst either devices or people, either way. And we tried it out with a few team members this past week. So you can see what we did is basically invited people you can use an invite code. Once you connect your wallet, you can create an account and use an invite code to invite some people in. And from there, you can see our activity. Oh, okay. I guess this goes straight to the mempool. Not sure if you could see my other screen. Here's where you can store your collectibles. Are you able to see the deposit? Yeah, cool. So you can deposit from Gamma or Ordinal Spot. And here's some where you can put in your BRC20s as well. So it was really easy to set up. We were going to try to do a more live demo here, but I think that's just a little bit complicated because then we have to share all of our addresses and whatnot. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, now we have not only hardware support for Ordinals, but also multi-sig. So just another great security option for people to manage their tokens, their assets, and have more options.
It would be so fun to have an Bitcoin Ordinals Banter multi-sig through a Signa, and like every week or like every other week we we fund it with like $10 or something, and like we like do like a challenge to see what we can do together.
$10 to $1 million challenge 2024.
Yeah.
Each time, like during the show, you vote on which floored asset to buy. And
yeah, we'll go from 1 Satoshi to 1 Bitcoin. That's our challenge.
yeah, it's like trading a paperclip up to a car.
I feel like I can do this. I'm pretty heavy into the shitcoinery, so we got this. We got this as a group.
Hey, look, a lot of those challenges too, like the whole like penny to a whatever, requires a lot of bartering as well. So like we're gonna really have to work on this. Like go out to like Art Basel and be like, look, man, we really need this for the show. Please trade us this. This is really cool though. I've actually never like been a part of like a multi-sig before, and it looks actually pretty straightforward and a lot like more simple than I expected it to.
Yeah, it's super simple, and also it's non-custodial, obviously, which is pretty cool. And they also have support for stacks, which currently Xverse we support Bitcoin assets with a Signa, but we're actively working on shipping support for Stacks as well. And anyway, this is a little bit of alpha because we haven't even announced this yet through our X account, but we'll be.
Ayo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Bitcoin DAOs go crazy here. Like, there's so much fun stuff you could start doing in regards to payroll and voting out how to use funds for different projects, different initiatives and activities. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. This is totally new. I mean, is it just me? This is totally new for definitely for Ordinals.
Yeah, no, it's completely new to me. Like I too have never been a part of a multi-sig, so I'm super excited. And then, so you said before, I can't really remember what conjecture we were at, but you said that there was hardware support. Could you expand on that just a little bit?
Yes. I wish there was a way I could like pin our announcement here, but we shipped support for Ledger in July, this past summer. And we have a whole blog out with all the different steps on how to connect your Ledger device. But basically, when you go to Xverse, you can choose to create a hardware account and connect your Ledger device, and you just walk through the steps. The Ledger isn't Ordinals aware, so we do recommend that people use a device that's dedicated to their Ordinals so they don't accidentally send it away. So that's something that we're actively working on with the Ledger team, and hopefully will be just a matter of time before we have a more thoroughly robust way to support Ordinals. But in the meantime, definitely for people who have really valuable assets, it's great to have that option to store them offline. But now we also have multi-sig, so I think just more and more different possibilities are available for people, and that's so great. It's definitely needed as more and more people are investing in their liquidity into Ordinals.
Completely agree. I was gonna pull it up for you, but I couldn't find the post. I know your like pin post on your personal profile is you at Ledger. So was that like the same like time that you guys started like working with them?
Yeah, it was. I was in Paris for ETHCC, and I swung by their office to talk to them about what can we do to have like more thorough support. And there was a lot of there's some other interesting features we were looking at, but ultimately I think it's a much more technical challenge than we were anticipating. For example, with Ledger, there's a change in address. And again, I'm proxy all of my knowledge here in the dev, so this is definitely not my specialty. But my understanding is there's a change in address that happens every time you're doing transactions with a Ledger device, and with Xverse, software wallets, it remains the same address. So there's various technical challenges where it's just going to take, I think, some more time for us to find some workarounds, or even just to have like warnings within the Ledger device. I think that might be an option as well. So yeah, different things we're exploring, but I will share the announcement and the blog and everything right here in our chat. And then if there's a way that we want to post that somewhere, would definitely love for people to be more aware of this feature, because actually currently we're the only wallet that has hardware support.
Yeah, I'll actually put it on screen, but I'll also, once we like get done with this video, I'll put it like underneath as well. But
Perfect.
And pull that up on the screen. Oops.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we have all the different steps to walk people through how to connect your device and safeguard their Ordinals there.
And you're going to Kenya next, right? I saw that as well. Or another.
Okay, so I feel like my post was a little misleading. I'm going to be virtually tuning in.
Okay, gotcha.
Sadly, it's right on Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday here. So
Really, that's awesome.
in the U.S.,
you don't hear that very often. Is it because like you like the Thanksgiving food, or like you get to see family, or?
Yeah, I mean, what's not to like about Thanksgiving? Just like there's no pressure. You're just eating. You're just having a good time. There's no gifts involved.
You want the best alpha that I've like ever got in my life is after Thanksgiving, like use all the leftovers to make like the best sandwich that you've ever had. Like just like like this giant sandwich for leftovers.
We don't have Thanksgiving here, so
Turkey cranberry sandwich.
Oh, exactly. It's so good. And then like
Can
you
you-
go sides with it.
can you guys are gonna have to like invite me over for a Thanksgiving. We don't do it here. I have one of my best buddies married a Canadian girl, and maybe we'll just have to like figure out if they're doing something. I need some American connections or Canadian connections in Melbourne who like do Thanksgiving, because it just kind of like comes and goes here, and I see everyone talking about it on Twitter or X now, and yeah, it's not a thing. So I'll have to celebrate it. I'll celebrate it vicariously through you all.
What do you call silverware again?
Mate, everyone calls it cutlery. It's cutlery.
That sounds too fancy.
We don't
Cutlery's not a fancy word.
we don't cutlery down here in America.
I feel
So
like
funny.
we go crazy for holidays, and definitely you see it on all the like pop culture TV shows and movies and stuff. So I feel like out of all the holidays, Thanksgiving is the most foreignly coveted holiday.
That's a good line. It's a coveted holiday. No, you can't have it, Eli. This is an American holiday. Thanksgiving and 4th of July. No, here's my
it's
take
all
on
yours. You can have it.
No, Thanksgiving though, everybody's like, what's the joke on like Thanksgiving? All your family members during a bull market are like, should I buy Bitcoin? Should I buy crypto? And it's always like you've got to fight the siren song to tell them, your opinions, because they'll invariably buy at the pico top and then write all that shit down and blame you. But this time we have a way to avoid. We can say, don't you want this cute little frog picture on Bitcoin? Wouldn't that be awesome? You should buy one. And so now shill your family members inscriptions, and they'll thank you forever.
And it can't go to zero.
Yeah.
It will be worth one.
Yeah, it can only go to the worst thing goes 1 sat. So there you go.
I was actually super
No,
Frog Toshi hooked me up with a Bitcoin frog. So I'm very happy owner of a little froggy, and I shared it on my family group chat just to see what their reaction is. And I said, hey guys, I just got a frog. Look how cool this NFT is. How much do you guess it is? And they're like, like, oh, it's not worth any. Like some people are like, I have very diverse family views, but not worth anything. Like, no, it is worth something in USD. Just guess, okay, maybe like $100. And then when I told them, they're like, oh my goodness, like quick, sell it. And I'm like, no, I'm not selling it. And then the next week I'm like, guys, look, it's even more,
Hey, but just what do they say about your wizard though? Because that's just priceless.
It's priceless. I don't even begin to explain.
Yeah, maybe don't even tell the family about the wizard. Just let it be an online thing, because then they'll start asking you for homes and jet skis and yachts. So
Could y'all explain to me? I've been seeing it on the timeline, like everywhere. It's like, don't ask me. I don't have anything to give. Like, quit asking me for a wizard. What is happening? I have
it's
no
a copy
idea.
pasta. I don't know who started. I think maybe
Yudi probably started it. Yudi or Eric probably started it. It's a marketing for Taproot Wizards, which they've done a really good job at.
Well, it's working.
It's working. Yeah, some of the ninjas hopped on board.
Udi is a wizard when it comes to that.
He is.
Pun intended.
He made
I think
me
it was
take a
Zach
shower in a
Bull.
wizard costume, and here we are a year later, and I'm
Elizabeth has a wizard as well.
I'm really afraid that I'm going to be like pressured into getting some kind of wizard tattoo right now. I'm seeing there's like now 4
You already have a
people-
wizard. You don't have to.
You don't have to. The pressure is off.
Do it.
She's like kind of in the cult now, though. So like now you kind of got to get the tattoo. It's like sort of a requirement.
They're setting the bar, and I'm worried.
You're gonna get a tattoo of your wizard?
I definitely would not get a colored tattoo of my wizard.
You don't like colored tattoos?
Get
Not
a white
the
tattoo.
wizard. I don't know. Just like it's a lot. It's like a lot of color.
Sure.
A lot of block color. I don't mind some. I mean, I don't have any tattoos, but I would personally, I would go with maybe a black and white wizard if I.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
If I had to.
Elizabeth, just do the hash and that's it. You know, that's for the insiders. Or the inscription
There
number.
you go.
I mean, they're not stable, we know. maybe
Inscription
rather
IDs
the
aren't
hash.
stable either. Nothing's stable, and I'm not stable.
Nothing is stable. The world is not stable. The Bitcoin price is not stable. I think instability, if you become comfortable with instability, that's a healthy thing to do.
That's true. Ordinal Zen there.
Well, I'm gonna show one more thing, and then we'll have some closing thoughts. So I was, each show I was talking about the top 300 ninjas. Well, those have already been allocated, at least for the most part. So the next thing that we're going right now is we're going to host a ninja party. It's going to be a Twitter space. I'll go ahead and pull this up. It's going to be at Thursday, 7 p.m. my time. So it's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern time. I think that's like one of the most agreed upon times is Eastern time. So be sure to be there for the pizza party. We actually are going to have a DJ and everything, there for music. It's not going to be Charlie, to y'all's disappointment, but it is another DJ that's in the space. So super excited about that. The ninjas are not done yet, even though we did our top 300. We still, there's, we 1,500 total. I think 1,000 more allow list. That
has been a lot of work in the background, by the way. I know the Ninja Council. Yeah, Chris, Trevor's saying stop spilling that.
I forgot to say that. Yeah. So Billy is on our show almost weekly, probably bi-weekly, and his ninja looks sick, man. He was grinding on the show. He went from nothing to top 200 or even higher than that, in 2 days. This dude's a grinder.
Billy was bribing his community, but it worked. If you want a ninja, you got to do what you got to do. He was giving away black sats, uncommon sats.
He was.
Pizza
Even
sats.
I think he got Witters to use his referral link on live. That dude's a hustler.
Yeah.
He also changed his PFP from a CryptoPunk, so that's a pretty freaking big deal. To that. So that's
rumor has it, Chris. Rumor has it he teleburned his CryptoPunk to get whitelist.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Also, just shout out to Trevor. He broke 100K this week. It's a pretty big deal too. Pretty awesome. The Ninja Alert's father.
He's finally made it.
He made it. Yeah, he made it. He's officially an influencer now, or Ordinals influencer. So let's go, Trevor. So yeah, I just want to talk about the ninjas real quick.
Chris, now Leo also needs to drop a collection to cross the 100K. So
that's all you got to do.
He does not want to monetize Ord.io, but now he has to do something. He's pretty stagnant.
Hey, he won't be if we have more adoption on Ordinals. None of us that are here right now will be, with pretty much everybody here, and then some being builders and creators in the space. So we'll see what happens. But with all that being said, one, thank you guys so much as always. Love seeing y'all, chatting with you, bantering, on all the latest things. Is there any last words before we close up? I know it's pretty late for Dogfather. Thanks for joining us, sharing your thesis on the Bitcoin halving and how it's going to affect the price. It was a really good perspective, and I learned a lot.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was really a blast.
To me, it feels. Oh, go for it, Elizabeth.
There needs to be a hand raise here,
I tried to put a finger up.
Which one?
I have a quick question, but Charlie, if you wanted to tag on to that, go for it.
Oh, I was just saying, it feels like late 2020 to me right now of last cycle, where everybody's been here during the bear market, can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and in fact, in many ways, it doesn't feel like a bear market anymore, and we're just kind of waiting for the rest of the people in the world to figure it out. So, congratulations if you made it this far. It's been a ride.
Oh yeah. Guys, I have a question. So Ordinal's birthday is right around the corner. It's next month. And obviously at Xverse, we're going to try to plan some kind of fun campaign. And I have a few ideas up my sleeve. But one thing that I just realized today, or maybe it was yesterday, Aaron tweeted something about Ordinal's inscription 0 happening on December 12th. But I always thought of the
Was it the 15th or the 12th?
I think the 12th, and that the Ordinal's first inscription was the 14th of the skull. This Day of the Dead, Digitalus Mortos skull.
Wait, that's inscription 0, isn't it?
I think Aaron may have been wrong.
Yeah, Aaron's wrong. Inscription 0 is the skull.
Oh, okay. Well, then no, maybe I'm misquoting, but okay, so that is
Yeah.
So that, but I thought that was on the 14th, or am I going crazy?
I thought that it was.
Like,
I'm looking it up now.
Day
It
is
was inscribed December the 15th at 7:32 a.m.
what time?
GMT plus 11, 335 days ago.
Okay, so on Eastern time, what is
Well,
for ordinals?
I don't know. I'm going by what it says on ord.io, so I don't know if it converts to your local time or not. So it tells me December 15th, but maybe check your end.
Mine says December 14th. And
okay, so it converts to your local time.
I thought it was December
14th then.
Okay, but Aaron's quoting that, tweeting that it's December 12th is Inscription Zero's birthday.
Well, wild.
We'll have to circle back on that one.
What time zone does Aaron live in? 2 days.
She's in
2 days before all of us.
So she was trying to do some sastrology on the timing of the Jubilee, when we uncurse the X thousand inscriptions and give them numbers. And so that happens on a difficulty adjustment, 2 difficulty adjustments from now. So that would be on a rare sat, actually. And then, but I think she may have accidentally tweeted incorrectly about Inscription Zero's birthday.
Wait, so
unless I'm like missing something.
Charlie, is that all real? Like the Jubilee?
It is yes, it's real. That's a whole
okay, that's what I was about to.
We're gonna uncurse some inscriptions. That's the
well,
plan.
That's next show.
But not up 66, right? Or can we not go there?
Well, so it was a little bit confused. Actually, literally in the past 2 hours, Greg and Casey have been going back and forth on Op 66. Those will remain unbound. Yeah. So those will not be uncursed. So if you did like the special Op 66 curse mechanism, which kind of popularized the cursed meta, according to the current PR on the Jubilee, they will not be... Well, they'll be uncursed. They just won't be given numbers because they'll be unbound, meaning that they're just not associated with the
SAT.
SAT.
They're not. Got it.
So originally, Elizabeth, were you leading up to a possible X-Verse year annual celebration?
Sorry, we diverted.
Oh, I'm not saying any alpha yet. You're just.
Oh, dang it!
Elizabeth, that was such a tease.
But I did want to make sure I had the date right. I mean, that would be pretty lame if we didn't say something on the right date.
You're 2 days late.
So I'm aiming for the 14th. I hope that's correct.
This is why we need to do it by blocks, because then everybody knows block 800 something thousand, and we're all on the same page. Yeah, block time is superior. Whenever we have we can't be converting to UTC all the time.
It should be block height.
We're gonna have to have our eyes peeled on the mempool. We don't know when it's going through.
I've been watching that mempool way too much lately, so I'm starting to get.
He tweeted like I spend way too much. I think it was BitGod. I spend like way too much time on this site, like all his time, like eyeballs.
That's because he's trying to get.
What's funny?
Oh, sorry, he's trying to get the quadrillion stuff inscribed. Anyway, sorry, Sean.
This time last year, I spun up a Twitch channel, which was a mempool visualizer. So I did kind of a custom version of mempool.space visualizer. And it's ironic because I took that down because I was running on a virtual machine, and I needed that CPU cycles so that I could sync Ord. So the irony is, like, when I turned off my mempool visualizer, that's when everybody and their dog started watching the mempool very closely.
Dang.
So kind of. I should run it back.
That idea and do it on TikTok. That thing would go crazy, especially like once more people pick up on it.
We want to see it. You're gonna have to drop that link.
I'll spin it up. If you want to sub to the Twitch channel Mempool Watch Party, that's the username.
All right, we'll check it out. You heard it here. Go follow these amazing people. I think all of their handles are on the screen. I'm sure, if you're watching this, you have the technical skills to be able to find them.
I'm shadow banned, so good luck.
What did you do wrong? What happened?
Really? Dang.
You really can't find me.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
I found you.
No, you're right. Because earlier I went to look for whatever the Cigna post, and I typed your name in on the browser or like on the like search feed, and it didn't pop up. I had to actually go to one of our DM groups and find you in the group and search you that way. So
if anybody has a
you
solution,
should stop cussing people out for no reason.
anybody has a solution. Actually, I did get harassed today too. Cyber harassment. So many stories. I know we gotta go, but people don't understand how Bitcoin works, and then they blame Xverse.
I found you very easily the other day. Like I just typed in your name and you just popped up.
Oh, that's so good to hear. Okay, in the search or in just like a tagged post?
In search in Twitter, in the Twitter search. So
amazing.
It was.
You're back. Elizabeth is back. Bitcoin is back. Elizabeth is back. Do you know, Elizabeth, I can empathize with you because the same thing with my role at Gamma. Sometimes it becomes an educational thing saying like, can you hurry my inscription up? And I'm like, we have no control over that right now. So it's about teaching them how the mempool works and fee rates and how if the fee rate jumps, all of those sorts of things. And obviously, you know, you cannot, if they know how to, they can potentially RBF and whatnot. But it's just tricky. A lot of people don't, if they're new to Bitcoin or even if they're not, they might not be aware of that sort of thing. So yeah, you do feel bad, but it does become a really good educational process nonetheless. But yeah, I feel you because sometimes it's out of your hands.
Yeah, they went pretty far. They created a rather offensive meme with my face in it.
Oh gosh.
What?
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, that sucks.
On like some post. I won't shout them out, but I was pretty surprised. We tried to report them on Twitter because it was actually like quite inappropriate. And then Twitter got back and said, oh, you know, we found that it was fine. Like they don't properly do searching. Anyway, a lot of education is needed. But we got to look out for each other too in this community.
We do.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I try to ignore trolls, but when it's like that far, I usually try to put them in their place.
Yeah.
You got to. People are so awful. You know, I feel like I've always stood under, and I feel like most of you probably haven't done this, but I was a waiter when I was in high school, and I was like, everybody needs to be a waiter at a restaurant because like it like teaches you like how to serve people and like how to like you're basically less than the people you're serving, and it really like teaches you like a lot about like about you know just operating in society and stuff. But yeah, I always feel like everybody needs to be a waiter at least once.
I actually think you can tell a lot about a person by how they treat service staff. Actually,
you can. Oh, absolutely, you can.
100%.
Big tip. No pun intended, but
yeah. In America, sorry.
And something that I'm working on whenever I go to a restaurant, whenever I have any kind of service, just ask what their name is. Like just when you start, just like, hey, like they come up and usually they just start asking like, what do you want? But if they don't mention their name, just ask for their name. And then if you use their name, like anytime, like it just shows like you recognize their humanity. Because I feel like sometimes we're just so transactional and don't even realize there's a person in front of us. And yeah, that's always helpful.
I like that. I also try to, especially at coffee shops. So I actually have a coffee shop. Like that's what I do besides this. And so for coffee shops, you can particularly do this. You can do this for restaurants if you're not picky. But it works better for coffee shops is to ask the barista to make you their favorite drink, because they'll probably put in extra effort because they really want you to like it because it's their favorite. And then it also like makes them feel seen, like, like they care. I try to do the same thing at restaurants. If
it's so true.
Unless like I really have my like mind on like getting something specific. If it's kind of like up in the air, I'm usually just like, hey, what's your favorite thing on the menu? And I usually just roll with that. And you know what? Sometimes it sucks, but at least that like conversation was good and they felt noticed, and I know they wanted me to like it. But yeah, especially at coffee shops, because they're the ones actually making your drink. Unlike where like at a restaurant, maybe it's the waiter and they're not actually preparing the food. You know, they'll for the most part they should like, wow, I really like this, so I want them to really like this, so they're going to really put their heart and soul into it.
That's great advice. Do you know what's hilarious, Chris? One day I'm going to do that at your coffee shop. I'll be like, Chris, make me what you love. Is that suits me on both levels. You know, one, I'm really indecisive when I look at a menu, and then two, it makes the person feel good because they got to recommend their thing. So, you know, it's a win-win.
It depends on my day, man. If I'm like slammed, I'm gonna be like, oh, my favorite thing's a black coffee because all I have to do is this.
Short. It's a short. Yeah.
If I'm like, you know, a bit a little slower, I'll like make you some latte art. But awesome, guys. We're definitely over. I want to respect y'all's time. Thanks so much. Thanks everybody for tuning in on X and on YouTube. We will see you guys Thursday on Bitcoin.